Her best friend was murdered, and the police wrote it off as an accident. Can you identify the killer before they come for you? A huge hello to everyone, and welcome to the Neko Files Archive. Today's story is about a young woman who starts her own investigation into the mysterious death of her best friend. We're beginning an investigation with an ending that will shock you. So, let's meet our protagonist. Her name is Viola Parker, or just Vi to her friends. She's almost 30, and her life can be described in one word: stagnation. She lives in a spacious, big city apartment with her famous father, the popular detective novelist Lawrence Parker, their tireless housekeeper, Brenda, and a spoiled boxer dog named Ada. By profession, Viola is a foreign language tutor, but students come and go, while the living room sofa remains her most constant and loyal companion. Viola feels a sharp sense of uselessness. Her father is immersed in his writing, and she feels like a beautiful but completely useless decorative pillow. Knowing several languages does nothing to help her fight her existential dread. But life, it seems, has a twisted sense of humor, and it was already preparing a shakeup for Viola that no amount of melancholy could withstand. On one of these identically gray days, the phone rang. It was Greg, the husband of Viola's best friend, Lily. He delivered horrifying news. Lily was dead. The official police report called it an accident. She had dropped a running hairdryer into the bathtub. Simple, tragic, and, it seemed, required no further investigation. But for Viola, there was one enormous, gaping hole in this story. Her friend Lily had a panicked, hysterical fear of water. The idea that she would voluntarily lounge in a bath was an absolute absurdity. At the funeral, Viola's suspicions only grew stronger. The grieving husband, Greg, seemed more concerned about the wrinkles in his suit. Lily's domineering and cold stepmother, Eleanor, radiated an icy calm. The whole event felt like a poorly directed play. Something inside Viola snapped. This wasn't an accident. It was murder. And if the professionals didn't want to see it, then an amateur would have to take up the case. It was a dubious plan, but Viola Parker was never afraid to challenge common sense. Viola's investigation began with the main players in this drama. The first suspect was the husband, Greg, a cold, distant businessman. During a visit, Viola noticed that he had removed almost all the photos of his late wife from the apartment. Not exactly the behavior of a grief-stricken widower. Next on the list was the stepmother, Eleanor, an elderly woman living in a museum-like apartment filled with antiques. The crown jewel of her collection was antique snuff boxes. She spoke of her stepdaughter with poorly concealed contempt, and in passing showed Viola the most macabre item, a snuff box called The Devil from the Box. When a button was pressed, a tiny figure of a devil would pop out. Eleanor noted with a smirk that Lily had been deathly afraid of the toy as a child. The conversation left a bitter taste in Viola's mouth. But soon, a third suspect emerged. Going through her friend's belongings, Viola found a hidden diary and learned of Julian, her lover. Lily was planning to leave her husband for him. Viola met with Julian. The young artist seemed genuinely crushed by grief.
It was he who revealed the primary motive. Lily was the heir to her father's vast fortune, but her stepmother, Eleanor, controlled all the finances. In the event of a divorce, Lily would be left without a penny. Now the circle was complete. All three of them had a motive.
Viola's amateur detective work did not go unnoticed. One evening, she was attacked in her building's hallway. The stranger didn't try to rob her. He just pushed her hard and hissed at her to stay out of things that didn't concern her. The incident terrified Viola, but it also convinced her she was on the right track. Her persistence attracted the attention of the authorities in the form of Detective Miller. At first, he was skeptical of the famous author's daughter, but the series of strange facts Viola presented made him, at the very least, reconsider. Viola herself couldn't shake the thought of the sinister snuff box. She visited Eleanor again under the pretext of writing an article about her collection. Left alone for a moment, she picked up the peculiar object. Examining it closely, Viola discovered what she had missed the first time. There wasn't one hidden button, but two. And in that moment, a dreadful realization dawned on her. Viola decided to go all in. She called Detective Miller and asked him to come to Eleanor's apartment immediately, bringing Greg and Julian with him, claiming the killer would be exposed. When everyone was gathered in the antique-filled living room, Viola began her performance. She methodically laid out all the facts: Lily's fear of water, her affair, the financial motives of everyone present. And then she picked up the snuff box. Lily's death wasn't an accident, she said firmly, looking directly at the stepmother. She wasn't killed by a hairdryer. The murder weapon was far more elegant. Viola pressed the button and the devil popped out of the box. What if the tiny needle on this figure's finger was coated with a fast-acting poison that causes immediate cardiac arrest? A small prick, and a minute later, the person is gone. And after that, it's a simple matter of carrying the body to the tub to stage an electrocution. Eleanor responded coldly, "Nonsense, you can't prove a thing." And then the unexpected happened. The grieving lover, Julian, spoke up. "She couldn't have done it. She has a solid alibi. She was with me that day." It was a fatal mistake. A confession that he was the lover not of Lily, but of her elderly stepmother. In that moment, all the masks came off. They were both the killers. Eleanor had planned everything to maintain control of the fortune, and her young lover, Julian, had helped her, hoping to inherit all the money one day. It was he who had attacked Viola in the hallway. After such a confession, they had no choice but to admit everything.
And so Viola Parker's first case came to a close. The boring life of a tutor was a thing of the past. She realized that her observational skills and unconventional thinking weren't a curse, but a true gift. The world, it turned out, was full of mysteries, and it seemed she had found a new hobby: solving them.
This story really makes you think. And now a question for you. What would you have done in Viola's shoes? Would you risk it all for the truth, knowing the police don't believe you and that you could be in mortal danger? I'm waiting for your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video so you don't miss our next breakdown of a tangled mystery. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.